Hey you guys, you've already listened to part one of, I titled the video, Sometimes My Mind Tells Me I Killed Him. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because we had brung up earlier a little bit about Nene's dad, and I gave you a little bit of background in the other video of how we actually began, why we ended, how we ended, a little bit about my ex-husband, and now I'm going to pick up there. So if you haven't looked at part one, stop this video now and go to part one of the video. Again, it's titled Sometimes My Mind Tells Me I Killed Him. Well, as I stated in the other video, he was coming towards the car, and it seemed like it was in slow motion because when he came towards the car, I noticed that the balloon said, "I love you." So, again, I thought I was coming down there just to, talk to him and just to reminisce a little bit and to pick up my birthday present. I did not know that he was going to come at me in a loving or a girlfriend, boyfriend, or any romantic way. Especially, again, um, let me reiterate that I was in my previous marriage at that point for 4 years, and he was well aware of it, very much so. Um, so when he came over to the car, he was trying to open the minivan door, and the balloon flew off. But the big, humongous card that was about the size of his torso, he gave me that card, and it said that he loved me, and all I could do, because I didn't want to reject him in a hurtful way, all I could do was say, "Thank you." So he sat in the front seat of the minivan, and I regret now that's changed my life and how I talk to people, what I value in life. This is part, and this actual event I'm going to tell you is part of why I am the way that I am. A lot of people can't pinpoint when they changed. I actually can pinpoint, and I'm going to share this with you, why I don't value material things as much as others. And, you know, having these things does not make me who I am, and doesn't make me value anybody that has them just because they have these things. Um, at that point, I was at the height of owning my daycare center. At that point, I went from a home daycare to a center, and you're talking about a humongous difference in revenue. I was making close to six figures almost, and that was really good for a girl that had just got out of college, and you know started off with a GED and went from a GED to going to a community college for early childhood development with a minor in child psychology, and to go from that to owning my own center, I was a little full of myself. And I actually spent an entire 45 minutes talking to him and bragging to him, to make myself look better and be bigger in his eyes and better in his eyes. And in sort of way, rubbing in his nose, "I did it without you. I did it and I didn't need you." That sort of way. I spent 45 minutes telling him all about my business and how I expanded, and the vacations I wanted to go on, or if I could find some times and find a substitute and all that kind of stuff. I spent all that time talking about that with him. And I remember looking over his chocolate brown face, perfect haircut, clean as the Board of Health again, that same person that I met that was 16 years old in that classroom. All he did was nod his head in agreement and had a proud look on his face, but all he could do was nod his head. And I kept rambling on, rambling on, rambling on, because all I did was value things at that point. Was what defined me. I was proud of myself, and it's no problem being proud of yourself, but I was proud of myself, and it made me feel better about myself, showing the things that I've accomplished or the things that I had. Well, needless to say, I rode off with that big card, and he went into his home, and I went back home and called up my now ex-husband at his job because he worked at night, and I told him what had happened and told him about the card, and I just shoved it underneath the car seat and didn't pay it any mind. Um, to speed up some of this, I'm going to tell you that 30 days later, we um, we found Maurice floating in a harbor, and his mom called. Actually, what had happened was his mom opened the door and the police was there. His only sister ran through the house screaming, "No, no, no," because they had a picture of Maurice in their hand. And they asked, was her son missing? And she said yes. And she just thought that he just went off because he was about 24. That he went off with a girl or something like that. Um, and this wasn't the case. So they wanted her to bring any dental records or anything that she would have to ID this person. Now, he had ID in his pocket, but they said they can't go by that because anybody can steal your ID, and then they can't just use that as identification for death certificate or whatever, or to deem you as being dead. To speed up the process, we used the mold that he used for his platinum teeth to be made. And I knew where they were because he kept them in the same spot when I was with him. And I went up in his room after coming from the coroner's office with his mom. And I was with my ex-husband, and he supported me through this whole thing. And I went and got his mold from the shoebox on the right-hand side of his closet. And they made a positive ID. And that was Maurice. And the reason why I said my mind sometimes plays tricks on me, because I battled this for many, many years. Maurice has been gone now for probably about 8 years now, 7, 8 years. And I've battled it for many, many, many years, and I still have bad days. Because Maurice actually, from the coroner's office that we did the math, and also by letters that was left behind and poems that was left behind, Maurice killed himself literally a few days or hours after I rejected him and did not go back with him. And I didn't give him the response that he wanted and or needed from that card that he gave me. And the letters and the poems stated about how he wished I leave my husband, ex-husband at the time, ex-husband, and how he loves me so, and how he couldn't go on without me. So I have battled, and still battle to this day with thinking that I helped kill Maurice. Now, I want to make it clear that Maurice was the absolute love of my life. I did not love my ex-husband, but out of respect for my ex-husband, I did not go back with Maurice. I did not leave my ex-husband, and I did not leave I didn't leave Maurice on. Out of respect for my ex-husband, I did these things, even though I still, even up to that day that he gave me that card, loved Maurice. But because my kids needed a certain kind of structure, and because I wanted the family unit the way that he could never give me because he did have a mental illness. I stayed with my ex-husband. I stayed with my ex-husband. And I kind of hated my ex-husband because I used to think that if it wasn't for me respecting him, and now knowing that I was going to wind up divorced anyway, I would have went back to Maurice. I'm sorry. I haven't talked about this in a long, long time. It's been a long time since I talked about this. And also, let me go back on. Before I went down there to see him, a couple of days prior, he was telling me that he don't want to be here anymore and stuff like that. And I was trying to comfort him, and I did quote scripture to him. And I did tell him that God has a plan for him. And I can remember looking back right now, him asking me, "You think God got a plan for me? You think God got a plan for me?" And the way he said it, I could tell that he thought he was nothing. I could tell that he thought that he wasn't even worthy of God's love for some reason. So when somebody says that they want to hurt themselves, you guys, take heed to what they say. Because for one, once you do it, you know you can't come back. And for two, you will walk around forever carrying the pain of if you, what ifs and if you would have. And you can smile all day long. You can obtain things that make you feel good. You can get a new house, a new car, new clothes, and you can throw some makeup on. But at the end of the day, in your heart, you won't be certain if you had anything to do with it. You won't. You won't. Because every day of my life, I try to push it underneath the covers and try not to think about it. Because when I do think about it, in my mind, I know I had something to do with it. So, just love one another, you guys. Don't put value on just things. Because they come and go. Look at me. I owned a daycare center, but wound up homeless. I had several cars, wound up homeless. Those things mean nothing. Nothing. Your spirit and your soul means everything. How you treat people means everything. How you love people means everything. What you give to someone means everything. So, now you guys know the story about the first love of my life.